Haul roads are a vital part of any earth-moving operation. It's how heavy equipment moves material about the site and how companies prevent environmental overflow from their construction sites to surrounding areas, such as roads, streams, and adjacent properties. Through the course of construction, haul roads take a beating and often need to be replenished. Coal mines, using some of the larger pieces of equipment available on the market today to move coal and overburden, have specialized crews that do nothing but maintain haul roads so that the big rock trucks can continue to move without getting stuck. Today I'll show you how I am making this haul road look like it's in need of some repairs and why key pieces of equipment are staged to conduct those repairs. Stay tuned, I'll show you how I do it here on the Allegheny North. Using a series of products. Some of them I'm sure most of you are familiar with. We're using a dirt product from Express Scale. Basically this is just some screened dirt in here, but it looks really good. There it is, dry. It's not affixed yet, so I can still move that around. We're using some tried and true Woodland Scenics. It's just simple fine gray ballast. It's great for not only your tracks but also making some roadways. Also, we're using a product from Tamiya. It is a Diorama texture paint, and they have a whole line of these that are everything from different shades of earth to snow. It's really a cool stuff. You can mix them and match them and all kinds of other things and really get some cool textures. It seems to be that this is more popular with the folks who are doing more of the war dioramas and models, and also some of the gamers. I don't understand the 3D games and whatnot. The models look cool, but some of the techniques are actually really good for model railroading as well. So here's some what we're using today. It's a dark earth, so that's what it looks like when it's dried, right there under the grater. So what I'm going for here in this scene is there's the entrance to our mine with a fancy little guard shack and everything. There's our fence. So we have a rock entrance, and if you're familiar at all with how they do this, usually they put down a real big rock, like a number 1, number 4, something like that, and that's designed to stabilize and to keep knock rock and dirt and muck off of truck tires before they enter onto the road. In a lot of states, that's a state requirement. You can't just track off the road. So, and then they'll use a smaller stone sometimes to choke it all in so it doesn't move. And that's what I'm representing with the finer ballast there. So it's just a combination of some fine talus from Woodland Scenics and the gray ballast. And then what I want to simulate here is, obviously I've got my loader loading up a quarry truck, right? So he's turning and then churning up the ground and basically making a mess, right? So a lot of times what'll happen is you'll have a older grader, something like this one that's, you know, it's not one of the fancy hydraulic ones necessarily, something that's older in the fleet, and its simple task is to scrape off the loose dirt and mud and then spread around any kind of stone that they may need to stabilize the haul road. So to simulate a road that's in major disrepair, what I've done is I've shown some areas where they dumped some big rock in and some finer rocks. So obviously there was a soft spot there that they're trying to stabilize. And now I have, you know, the remnants of a stone road here, but then I've got this sort of muddy patch in the middle where maybe the stone's been squished down into the dirt, and so it's, you know, it's taken some abuse. And then here, this is the area we're working on. Now that's still drying. That's why it looks wet, basically, because it's wet. So this process is actually really simple. And I'm gonna switch hands here with the phone and show you exactly what I'm talking about with this stuff. So it comes out and it looks like kind of a pasty, just goop. So what I'm gonna do is get enough of this on here that I can sort of squish it around. And we're just gonna smack it on the layout here, and it will stick. Now I've got some dry material that's on the layout right where we're working, and it's gonna make it a little more challenging. But once you get it on the layout, just like you got here, got a small cup of water, and using that same brush, I'm just gonna add water to what I've got posted here on the layout. And I'm gonna move that around. Now I don't want it to get too far off because I'm not making the whole road look like this. Just some of these areas here that are gonna be muddy. So once I get the patch in that I want, I sort of go back and I agitate it. Now you can agitate it in a bunch of different ways. Obviously here I'm just gonna stipple this to make it look like it's been churned up. You can actually take your vehicle if you want, and I have done it here. You can see because there's some mud on the tire, so to speak, and you can actually run your tire through it if you want, and it'll retain that mark. So give it a little bit of a tire mark. And once you're happy with the location of that little mud splatter there, all you're going to do is take a little bit of your ballast, and we're going to pour just a little bit along the outskirts, just to represent where they're trying to get some stone in here. Okay. Now, if you were going to do something with the big rock, you would just put that in first and then add stone on top. Now, this area here, I'm not going to bother affixing because it's already in this paste. You just need to secure the area around it. And then there you go. So you've got your construction scene. And it makes it look like there's an active, in progress sort of work. I'm going to spill a little more of this coal around. It was a happy accident that it fell out of the bucket, but I like it because if you've ever seen a front loader scoop, material does fall off of it as it's loading. Plus, as the truck makes its loop to come back around to go back to the crusher, some of it's going to fall out there as well. So that's going to look nice. Okay, so once your scene is done, here's how I've got mine set up. So I've got my triaxle bringing some fresh number 2A stone in. The little loader there is distributing that stone for our grader, who is using it to choke down that big number 4 rock there, try to cover up those muddy areas. In the meantime, we can't stop production, so our bigger loader and our haul truck are still working on this coal pile. And as you can see, some coal's dumped all over the ground there. It's typical of a loading. And if you come back here, you can see the road extends behind the tipple. So this is kind of what we're looking for. This is what a finished road would look like, let's say, where you've got the stone, you've got the unkept dirt at the edge there. That's just, you know, left over from cutting the road. But you have the Tamiya dark material right there. It's kind of that flex pasty stuff that I was showing you, and then the stones filling in between. So that's pretty good for what a real haul road would look like. And then just to show you briefly over here where the road's not kept on the site, you know, I use that to look kind of like mud, and then I have the Scenic Express material dumped in there as kind of the dry stuff on top. So hopefully our crew here can get this taken care of, before we get protesters on the scene tweeting about it. And it looks like they're weren't quite fast enough. We've already got our protesters. Hey, don't you guys know we're in the middle of a pandemic? Where's your masks? Oh, you don't need them because it's a mostly peaceful protest. God, I love science.